So as you may know, the EMA is a decentralized agency responsible for the scientific evaluation, supervision and monitoring, safety monitoring of medicines for the benefits of patients and animal health in the European Union. Our aim is to ensure that we base our regulatory decision-making on all evidence available, taking into account the strengths and limitations of all the data part of our assessment. While clinical trials remain the gold standard for the demonstration of primary efficacy, they cannot answer all questions. I'm thinking, for example, of rare diseases like red blood cancers with high unmet medical needs, where patient recruitment can be very challenging, or where there are sometimes some ethical concerns of denying beneficial active treatments. So in these situations and others, the evaluation of evidence coming from real-world data can really complement evidence from clinical trials. And real-world evidence actually is already used a lot in regulatory decision-making, for example, in the understanding of disease context, or to know how a medicine is used, or to further evaluate the benefit-risk profile of a medicine. So as just said, there are three areas where real-world data can really support regulatory decision-making. The first area is in understanding the clinical context. For example, disease prevalence, disease incidence, progression, disease outcomes. And this includes understanding how medicines are used. What are the extent of label use, or what are the switching patterns of the medicines. The second area of benefit is in the planning and validity of clinical studies, as we think that real-world data can really help improve the design of studies by, for example, helping in the identification of patients that would meet the clinical trials inclusion criteria. Thanks to feasibility assessment, we think that real-world data can also help in the calculation of sample size for the clinical trials, and we think that it can help in also evaluating the representativeness of the clinical trial population versus the real-world target population. And the third area is that we think real-world data can really support in the investigation of the association between a treatment exposure and safety and effectiveness outcomes. So there are many initiatives that have been launched at EU level in order to develop tools for better use of real-world data in regulation of medicines. And I'm thinking, for example, about the European Commission calls on data innovation, like that led to the establishment of initiatives like Harmony, for example. Or I'm also thinking about the EMA Heads of Medicines Agency Big Data Initiative. So all the tools, methods, and lessons learned coming out of these projects will constitute a strong basis, a solid basis to establish the value of real-world data and real-world evidence in medicines regulation and evaluation of the benefit-risk profiles of the medicines. So very good question. There are two important outputs from the Big Data Initiative that I would like to highlight. And the first one is about the enhancement of the NCEP resource catalog, which by the end of this year will become the new catalog of real-world data sources maintained by the EMA. And thanks to a comprehensive list of metadata, data holders will be able to register and describe the characteristics of their real-world data sources. And this will help regulators, researchers and pharmaceutical industry to identify the most relevant and suitable data sources to use to answer specific research questions. The second important output that I would like to mention is the data quality framework, which is developed in collaboration with the TEDAS, the joint action towards the European health data space. And this sets out a definition of data quality dimensions and metrics to describe quality of data sources. And this data quality framework will be launched by the end of this year and will include a chapter on real-world data. I would like to say that real-world evidence generated from the evaluation on real-world data can extensively contribute to medicines regulation as a complement to the evidence generated by clinical trials. And it's very important to make patients' data that already exist in various private and public databases available for analysis. And this is the goal of Harmony and many other initiatives on other therapeutic areas. In 2023, EMA intends to focus on anti-cancer medicines as a pathfinder to embed the lessons learned of the COVID-19 pandemic. And this will be done by applying regulatory agility and by fostering cooperation with international regulators. This is why I think there will be many opportunities to work together in order to generate meaningful evidence and ensure that we deliver safer and more effective treatments for patients with rare blood cancers and other diseases.